Hi, Ryan Manchi with Basis Technologies. I'm sitting down with Jacqueline Ruel, the head of brand for Papa John's. Papa John's? I love
Yeah.
Papa John's.
Well, that's
So,
fantastic to hear you say.
yeah. What do you feel like makes Papa John's such an incredible brand?
Oh, what a good question. I think, it's pizza. Let's start there,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's such a universal food that people have such an unrelenting love for. And it's an iconic kind of come up story of how the brand was built. And then it was built on the backs of this idea of better ingredients, better pizza. So I think it's something that was a foundational element that we stand behind still. There's incredible storytelling around the fact that like we don't have any freezers in our restaurants. We use all fresh, never frozen dough, super fresh ingredients to put on the table. So even though when people make a choice to eat pizza, like if it can be the best, healthiest option, like that's something that we want people to know about. I also think it's been around for a while, and we kind of have this opportunity since 2019. We've taken on new leadership. I'm new. I'm 6 months in. We're kind of giving the brand a new revival. And so something I'm thinking a lot about is who is that next generation customer? How are we reaching them in new and different ways? And also, what does the evolution of the brand look like? I talk a lot about in our category, you got to create craveability. People need to see those cheese pulls and really fall in love and kind of salivate with the product. But what we also want to do is put a little culture behind it and make sure that when people are ready for that pizza moment in their home, they're picking us because there's more behind the brand that they want to fall in love with.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so as you look to connect with those consumers, still stay loyal to the loyalists that are there, but find those new audiences and talk up the great pizza, the great offering that you have. What are ways that you're doing that to build the brand? How are you thinking about that from a paid media perspective to be able to
Yeah.
drive more awareness and drive more pizza orders?
Yeah, I'd say we're thinking about it from paid, but we're kind of looking at the whole
Yeah.
model, right? So, like earned, owned, shared, and paid, we're really looking through that integrated lens. And I think a lot of things that we're doing internally starts with the product itself and how we're innovating and bringing new and different things to the market. Then, by way of the marketing that we're putting out in the world, we're making sure that it's just not like a one shot deal. So, we're working hand in hand with our PR and media relations teams to actually build stories that can earn headlines that go on the world. We're spending a ton of time on TikTok
Hmm.
right now. So I think, who isn't on TikTok
Yeah.
right now? A lot of brands are really finding ways to prevail there, but really leaning into those trending moments and finding a lot of people that are doing cool hacks with our pizza. Like something that just went really well is we showed people how to heat up a slice of pizza with like water in an air fryer, right? And like finding little unique things that people are doing, butter boards took off earlier this year on TikTok, and we leaned in and we did a whole board made on the basis of our garlic butter, which we know is such a rabid fan favorite. And in the paid media space, we're doing a lot of social influencer amplification. Obviously, you can't get away as a pizza company with not being on TV, but really surrounding the TV buys with extended placements in social, digital, looking at gaming platforms like Twitch,
Mm.
looking at partnerships with people like WWE. So kind of cracking into the customer and understanding. I always talk about like, what do they care about besides pizza? Because we know they don't wake up every day going, oh, Papa John's every morning. So it's like finding what they kind of align with from a brand affinity standpoint, and then starting to look at some of those partnerships and platforms that allow us to kind of meet them where they are during the day and remind them that when they're ready to order us, they're going to bring the pizza home from us.
Yeah. That's amazing. And you mentioned so many different like platforms that are out there that are
Yeah.
available. I think that's one of the things that I both love about the industry,
Yeah.
but also it is overwhelming at times. The
That's the word I would
complexity.
have used
Yeah,
also.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is very, very complex. So how is the team structured, and how are you thinking about building out those internal capabilities, those areas of expertise, and then also how are you thinking about working with those partners at those different platforms, working with different agencies to be able to make sure that you stay on top of everything and
Yeah.
where you need to be.
Yeah, it's a full-time job
Yeah.
just keeping up with. I'm like, there's probably a platform launching as we speak, right? So my brand team is structured by way of we are in charge of all the creative content that comes out from the brand. So I've got an internal creative team. I've got a team of brand managers that helps to manage our agency partnerships. We've got two great agencies. We have an AOR that we work with and a multicultural agency. And then we have the whole social team that reports up under the brand as well. And then we're adjacent to the media team. So really working on that like cross-functional team dynamic internally. And so the way that we think about it is we really have to zoom in on where we believe that our core customer is playing right now. And honestly, it's TikTok and Instagram. We're really kind of focusing there. But then we also have to look for where that next generation customer might be, which is where we find opportunity to layer things in like the gaming platforms. And then from a partnership perspective, we spend a lot of time in sports. It makes sense. You know, pizza and sports goes hand in hand. But also if you think about what are those captive pizza eating moments? A lot of times, like someone's staying in, they've got the games going on, pizza's on the table, right? You're tailgating, if you will. You're bringing people over, pizza's going to be on the table. So we think about, from a TV standpoint, like what are those moments where people are going to be sitting at home watching the games? How can we kind of create that intercept for where we make the moment greater by putting a box of Papa John's on the table? So, you know, with so much out there, you can boil the ocean. I feel like every day trying to go in a lot of places, we're really trying to refine the places that we're playing and then doubling down the impact that we're creating there. So yes, on TikTok and Instagram, but like how then do we partner with influencers who can help us pop up on those channels? So we have a great partnership with Shaquille O'Neal, who's fantastic to work with. And then we leverage him almost as an insider to the brand. And we treat him like a media channel as well, because he has such an incredible fan base, which, you know, a lot of it is through his Instagram as well. So we really try and rely on the partners in that way and play to where they best are reaching audiences and then try to tap in that way.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, so you look at whether it's leveraging Shaq's social outlets or tapping into other maybe lesser known influencers, or you know, even some of these other channels that are really, what I would argue, maybe they are more brand focused. They are maybe more awareness. How do you balance that? How do you prove out the success and sell that through that, like, hey, this is critical that we are able to drive the awareness and we know that this performs, that this is driving people to order more pizza, it's extending to more customers. How do you as a marketer, how do you plot that out? How do you tell that story?
Yeah, it's a day-to-day challenge, right? So data. I mean, that's like the simple answer, right? But we're constantly looking at what's the spend getting us and what's the delivery. But we also have to know a lot of that comes into the top of the funnel. And we know it's going to be a brand builder and an engagement driver. And so sometimes we have to be okay with it not being a direct line to the transaction, because we know that sometimes we just have to get the talk going. I like to think a lot about the metric that the most talked about brands grow 2.5 times faster in the category. And if you're not creating the talk value behind the brand, that's not going to help you prevail. And so I think in some instances, we have to find that like upper to lower funnel balance of like, when is this going to be like engagement for engagement's sake, which is still going to be important. But then in the other instances, it's like knitting together with our paid media team and making sure that we've got the right metrics and KPIs in place to show, did this in fact move the needle? And can we show that it was like a direct line to transactions, which sometimes when you're doing things with influencers, you can't always see that.
Yeah.
It is tough, right? But some, you know, we'll do things like give an influencer a special code, and then we'll look to see, did we see that code pop from that individual post? And sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. But sometimes maybe they drove 9 million views on a TikTok that we partnered with an incredible TikToker. His name is Tony Stadavici, and he had used our tagline and went viral on TikTok. So we pulled him into a shoot with Shaquille. We ended up producing a spin-off remix piece of content from his origin one that went viral on his TikTok, and we drove 9 million views in it.
Incredible.
Now, did all those 9 million views convert to a transaction? They did not, but like it's the top performing piece of TikTok content we've ever made with a collaborator. So those are the trade-offs that sometimes you have to make sure that your name gets out there. But I literally have people that come to me and say, oh my God, you're the one that brought Tony to come do the thing with Shaq. So they saw it, right? And they've connected the dots back to Papa John's. So sometimes when you think about building that brand love, you got to keep that awareness metric top of mind.
That's great. I love that. When you look at some of the technologies we talked about, okay, those can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
What are the technologies they can be overwhelming, but that are maybe more exciting to you, that you're hearing about, that maybe you're starting to experiment with?
Yeah.
What are some of those?
So there's like little fixes that
Yeah.
need to be done of just like how we think about creating better. We have played in the AI space during Super Bowl. We always pop up with Shaquille. He does Shaq's
Yeah.
Funhouse. We partnered with one of the other sponsors called NetSpin, and we did a co-collaboration with them. For anyone that wasn't at the Super Bowl, that was sitting at home, if you tuned in to our co-branded video we did with the NetSpin team, by way of a dollar bill, we created an AI experience where we gave away $5,000 worth of free pizzas to people that were back home experiencing the Super Bowl. So we could be the pizza that became their kind of party favor for the parties that they were hosting. So we are playing with it a little bit. It's not a hardcore thing right now that we're working against. But I know that it's hot right now. So it's worth us dabbling a little bit, but it just hasn't become a firmly planted effort in the marketing calendar yet.
Yeah, well, it will be fun to hear maybe a year from now to hear, hey, here's all the different areas that we experimented with and kind of played around. But I love even just the simple applications. You take complex, overwhelming things and you find those moments to, like the Super Bowl promotion, to surprise and delight people.
Exactly.
Which is just amazing. I feel like that's a great example. We talked about complex areas, but also there's the simple things that can be done. If we take a big step back, if I were to give you a magic wand, what would you do to change anything within the industry and make your job that much better?
Oh, change anything within the industry. You know what? I think that the content making piece of it is the piece I want to keep iterating on. I think speed to marketplace with the way that consumers interact with like feeds, I think we spend a lot of time creating things that take too long. And I think like iterating faster and optimizing against the content that's working, which is a lot of what's going on in the social space. I would like to see more of that happening in shorter timelines so we can put more content out in the world that surprises and engages fans to play with.
I love it. Jacqueline,
Thank
real
you.
fresh perspective and real fresh ingredients, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
That's what we're here for.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.